I hope you're ready because today's lineup is loaded. Jae Lee's Hellshock is rising from the dead. Carol Danvers is literally going full Phoenix. Frank Castle is back and bloodier than ever. And NYCC just dropped some wild industry bombshells. Plus, we'll break down whether Superman was really the box office win everybody thinks it was. And then we'll finish up with some crazy cover price shakers report. I'm Bryant, and welcome to Comic Issues Daily, presented by I Have Comic Issues. Before we dive in, big thanks to today's sponsor, Ron's Comic Closet, your go-to spot for back issues, variants, and new releases. And if you use code I Have Issues at checkout, you'll get 20% off your first order with Ron. All right, let's hit those headlines. First off, let's kick it off with a blast from the dark 90s. Hellshock is officially coming back. Dynamite Entertainment just announced it's reprinting Jae Lee's haunting creator-owned comic starting in 2026, and they even picked up the film, TV, and game rights. That means Daniel's half-angel, half-human world could literally make the leap into other media. Lee says Hellshock is his most personal project, and you can tell it's moody, introspective, and downright beautiful. Partnering with Dynamite feels natural since Lee's close friends with publisher Nick Barucci, and he's personally overseen the restoration. So fans are getting it straight from the source. What's exciting here is the future potential. If Hellshock hits, that could open up the door for sequels, adaptations, or even a shared Gothic universe. Would you check out a Hellshock movie or animated series? Let me know down below. And speaking of comebacks, someone else just got a fiery one. Carol Danvers just became the new host of the Phoenix Force. Yep, binary number 1 is here, and it's a full-on cosmic rebirth. Written by Stephanie Phillips with the art by Alexandria Morocco. The story sees Carol return home to Beverly to protect her town from the deadly X virus, wielding Jean Grey's old powers like a nuclear torch. The locals, they're terrified. Carol, riddled with doubt, she's haunted by Jean's legacy and even sees a mysterious hooded figure that might actually be Jean Grey. It's small town drama meets cosmic apocalypse, and it hits emotionally hard. By the end, Carol double downs and decides she's staying to protect Beverly no matter what. It's heroic, messy, and totally human. Do you think Carol deserves the Phoenix power, or should Jean Grey always own that legacy? And then we go from cosmic fire to street level firepower. Let's talk about Frank Castle. Frank Castle is back, and he's meaner than ever. Marvel Knights Punisher #1 for Jimmy Palatino and Dan Pinochet strip him back to basics. Just Frank, his weapons, and a whole lot of bad guys who had it coming. The first page, he's dangling a mobster over a meat grinder. Classic Punisher. This isn't about reinventing him. It's about reminding us why he's working in the first place. It's gritty, violent, and drenched in attitude. Pulmonti nails the narration, and Pinoza's art makes every punch, knife, and bullet hit with weight. If you've been missing that old school, no filter Punisher energy, this one's for you. Should Marvel bring this darker Punisher into the MCU or leave him in the comic gutter where he belongs? Well, I think the Marvel MCU Punisher is pretty gritty right now, so I think they're doing pretty good there. Then from blood on the streets to blood that can explode, you know what's next. Over in the Boys universe, Gen V just dropped a power scaling bomb. Starlight tells Maria Moreau she's also a survivor of Project Odessa, the same experiment that created Homelander, meaning Marie's blood control powers could match his god tier strength. That revelation changes everything. Marie goes from underdog to potential world breaker. It's a perfect setup for her to challenge Homelander himself one day, and fans are already losing it online. Now, Gen V isn't just a spinoff anymore. It's becoming essential viewing for the Boys story. Who'd win if they face off right now? Marie Moreau or Homelander? Let me know below. And speaking of powerhouses, one fan favorite gets his animated moment. So here's the twist. X-Men 97 is Marvel's highest rated animated series right now. But Deadpool, he's probably never showing up. Comicbook.com says the creative team wants to keep that heartfelt tone of the original 90s show, and Deadpool chaos just doesn't fit in. They'd rather focus on Cyclops, Storm, and Magneto emotional arcs than squeeze in Wade Wilson for a quick gag. Honestly, it's probably a smart call. The show doesn't need him. It thrives on nostalgia, strong storytelling, and a real understanding of what made those old episodes special. Deadpool will still shine in live action, but X-Men 97 works because it feels like 1992 again. Would you like to see Deadpool cameo anyways, or do you prefer the show stay focused on the team? Let's stay with Marvel for a second because there's a storm brewing in the MCU rumor mill. Fans went wild after the Russo brothers posted a photo teasing Avengers versus X-Men Doomsday, and speculation exploded that Marvel might actually change the movie title. But comicbook.com says, hold up, it's way too early for that. The MCU hasn't even introduced most of the mutants yet, so jumping straight into a crossover would be a huge risk. The article argues Marvel needs time to build up Cyclops, Storm, and Wolverine before going full A versus X. So yeah, it's probably just a tease, but man, imagine that showdown when it finally happens. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. That was a great series when they did it. Which side would you be on, Avengers or X-Men? Me personally, Team X-Men. From future wars to present day horrors, Marvel's latest anthology gets downright gory. So here's the next story we got for you. Marvel's latest Black, White, and Blood one-shot is pure nightmare fuel. Black, White, and Blood and Guts #1 gives us 3 horror stories. Blade hunting vampires, a kid begging him for help, and children finding a cursed Iron Man suit that warped their bodies. Yes, that kind of ride. The art pops off the page, all stark black, white, and bloody red. Critics are loving how far it pushes the envelope. This isn't your average superhero book. It's body horror, monster movie madness. It's not for the squeamish, but if you love the weird side of Marvel, this book is a must-read. Which Marvel hero do you want to see next in the horror line? Moon Knight, Blade again, or someone else? And now let's switch gears to some real-world news straight from New York Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con kicked off with Retailer Day, and the announcement did not disappoint. Todd McFarlane confirmed he's working with multiple studios on new animated Spawn projects, both short and feature length. Meanwhile, Topps revealed new card lines featuring Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and even SpongeBob. Collectors, your wallets have been warned. James Tynion IV also revealed that his horror series, Exquisite Games, has topped 400,000 sales and is getting a board game. A brand new publisher, Ignition Press, launched at this event also, promising more creator-owned books next year. Retailer Day basically proves that comics industry is alive and thriving. Between McFarlane's revival, Tynion's expansion, and Topps' massive IP push, 2025 is going to be huge. Which NYCC announcement are you most excited for? Hey, and this is New York Comic Con weekend, so I bet there's going to be a million announcements this weekend. So please stay tuned and come back here and check that out. And finally, let's talk about the Man of Steel and its box office numbers. So here's the deal. James Gunn's Superman looks like a massive win at first, but when you check the numbers, it's a little more complicated. According to comicbook.com, the movie pulled in about $615.7 million worldwide, but with combined production and marketing budget around $350 million, that win gets smaller a little fast. The theaters typically keep about half of the ticket sales, which means Warner Brothers only took home around $308 million from the box office. Not enough to cover its costs through the theatrical run alone. Still, it's not all bad news. Comicbook.com points out that Superman could still make plenty back through merchandising, licensing, streaming deals, and home videos, and I believe that they are. The secondary market often turns break-even films into profitable ones over time. The bigger question is whether audiences are just feeling superhero fatigue or if the movie marketing didn't quite connect the way WB hoped. Fans are split. Some say it's a win because it successfully rebooted the DCU and set the tone for what's next. Others argue that if $600 million isn't enough to break even, the studio might need to rethink those blockbuster budgets. Well, I think it did pretty well because they've already greenlit and are working on Superman Man of Tomorrow. Do you think Superman was a success story or a cautionary tale? Drop your thoughts, let me know. And then speaking of money, the cover price daily shakers is stacked today. Let's see what's heating up. First, we got Tales of Suspense from number 39 from 1962 in a CDC 3.5, sold for $6,150. And then followed that up, we got Incredible Hulk 181, first full appearance of Wolverine, from 1974 in a CDC 6.0, sold for $3,362. And then we also had another Hulk, and that's issue number 144 from 1971 in a CDC 9.8, sold for $2,640. And then we were talked about McFarlane earlier. We have Amazing Spider-Man number 300 from 1988 in a CDC 9.8, sold for $1,980. And then we got House of Secrets number 92 from DC from 1971, the first appearance of Swamp Thing in a CDC 7.5, sold for $1,920. And then following that up from Marvel, we got Marvel Comics Super Special number 1 from 1977 in a CDC 9.6, sold for $1,920. And then we got some romance, True to Life Romance number 13, all the way back in 1949 in a CDC 8.5, sold for $1,800. And follow that up by a 4-color number 17. I believe it was a Dumbo one in a CDC 7.5, sold for $1,800. And then we got Amazing Spider-Man 17 from 1964 in a CDC 8.5, sold for $1,735. And the last one in our top 10, Uncanny X-Men number 266 from 1990 in a CDC 9.8, and that was the first appearance of Gambit, or first full appearance of Gambit in the Uncanny X-Men line. You could also look at the annual from that same book. So for $1,725. So we had Iron Man's debut, Wolverine's first appearance, Swamp Thing's origin. It's a mix of silver, bronze, and even gold age gold. Which one of these keys would you chase if you had the cash? Also, just wanted to remind everybody, didn't do it earlier, but the QR code and the link's been up there on the screen. This is October. It's Comic Curing Cancer Month. We're trying to, we want the comic book community to come together to kick cancer's ass. So at the end of this month, we have the C3 auctions that are going to be taking place October 24th through the 26th. So please go and check that out and support that. And here's the lineup for all the shows that are coming up for that weekend. Here we go. All right, before we wrap up, here's a quick reminder that every Sunday night I have a live stream where I have Comic Channel Origins, and we're going to be back this Sunday night. And I'm sitting down with comic book YouTuber creator, or comic book YouTube content creator, What's on the Comic Rack, Mr. Akins, as y'all might know him as. And I'll be talking to him about how he's grown his YouTube channel from 0 up to where he's at now. Things that he does, videos that he likes to make, and things like that. And we might even go a little Jambo style. So please come back and check that out on Sundays, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Also, this past weekend on Comic Channel Origins, I had to see 3 guys there. Rob's Fast Stacks, Legion of Comics, and DJ Links. They were all there, and we talked about comics curing cancer. So please check that out. And that's it for today's episode of Comics Issue Dailies. And if you've had fun hanging out, do me a favor, hit the like button, comment, you subscribe if you want. I don't care. It'd be great if you did, but oh well. So you don't miss tomorrow's episode. Hit the bell so you're first to catch comic book news, and tell me which story blew your mind today. I'm Bryant. This is I Have Comic Issues. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with more comic news, key alerts, and collector chaos. All right, thanks, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.